Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, the Manga Man here, and today we're talking about One Piece chapter 1012 or chapter 1012. The video release is relatively late, as you probably can tell, but my sound, I'm not feeling the best, and fasting makes it troubling or difficult to really take the right medicines, so it is just a bit of a cold. It isn't the vid. I've checked, done the regular tests. So it's just a case of getting through it. So I wasn't feeling as good yesterday, but I'm feeling a bit better today. So here I am, making a video. So without further ado, let's get into this review. And so the chapter, the chapter was pretty straightforward. It had a lot of tidbits and a lot of establishing the facts and setting up future fights, and there's a lot of different things that essentially are happening that I really like about what Oda does. Oda has a really good way of establishing the facts, telling us where the situation is right now, what's possibly going to happen, as well as tying up loose ends in the process. So let's kind of go over the chapter in a brief form. And as always, I always say links are all in the description. Please check out Soy 7 Major Teching if you want a full, detailed, and over it, like really explained chapter and go through the thread lines. Anyway, so in a nutshell, a few things happen. Number one, the scabbards are separating even further. So you have Kiku and Kinemon that's gonna go after Kanjuro and basically Momo. So that's the first thing. The second thing is Momo and Shinobu are together, and Momo's now reading the diary of his father, which leads to some things interesting. And Yamato with a disguised puppet that's supposed to be Momo is running off because she's itching for a fight. She asks about Luffy, and it's still 1-on-1 up there, but he's losing strength. So that's kind of a sign of things to come. So she separates, and then Neko meets Sicilian, and I believe his name is Barriete, the monkey, a mink, and they tell him about Pedro's death and the fact that Perospero, the cause of his death, is on the island. So he's been matched up nicely over there, so he's over there. Izo and Kawamatsu run off in a different direction. They run to Sanji, who has Zoro tied up in a cross on his back, and he explains that essentially Law, Zoro, and Zues fell out of the sky practically. He caught them somehow, and he makes a comment about, only catching ladies, because he's a ladies boy, ladies man, and Zeus runs off because they mentioned Nami. It's just, I think, a sign of things to come, especially with the end of the chapter, yes. And Law leaves Zoro in Sanji's hands, so he wraps him up. And they mentioned something about Luffy saying, he's figured something out, he'll win, and Sanji's like, yeah, of course. So the undying faith in their captain. And then essentially they run into the scabbards, who tell him that you don't need to go help Momo because Kinemon is going, and Zoro wakes up and says, let's get to the live floor. That's that section really covered. And then the best bit I found was the Nami bit. The thing I found funny about the whole Nami situation is Big Mom now doesn't like Ulti, right? And obviously Page 1 is down, Ulti doesn't like her, and they're gonna fight. So they go, yeah, Big Mom, yeah, take care of her. Nami does, and she's like, yeah, I will, but after that, I'm dealing with you, Straw Hats. And they're like, okay, Ulti, you take her down. And so they switch sides, and she goes, yeah, I'm gonna kill you lot next. So regardless of which way they go, they're basically screwed. And what makes matters worse is they try to use this kind of distraction between the two fighting to get away, and Ulti headbutts the lion and then hits Tama, which infuriates Nami, who hits her with a bolt of lightning from a Climatech. And that I find interesting because we mentioned Zeus, now she's doing this. Obviously Lin is a friend with Otama, so she's going to see that as an outrage. Will this be kind of, because she's got Hera now, will this be the kind of moment where she is allowed to take Zeus, and maybe by the end of the arc she's allowed to keep Zeus? Somewhat this is going to be integral to that, I believe. But the way it ended was brilliant, and she goes, "No, I'm gonna fight. How dare you lay hands on a child?" That's her motherly element coming out, and it's maybe down to her mother and how she was brought up with her adopted sister in the East Blue. So realistically, that's going to be an interesting fight. That being said, if you think about how everything is matched up now, all the key ingredients of the fight really like of the whole scale of this fight is kind of being looked at. Now, the whole Luffy situation, they always say if it's a one-on-one, bet on Kaido. So there's a conversation that's been happening between different members of the YouTube community, and Soy7 Mage nicely puts it, where he says the premonition was for 9 people to take down Kaido. The 9th scabbard was kind of like a red herring. They couldn't do it. Then 5 went up there. That didn't really happen. So ultimately, it probably means at some point it's going to be 9 people up there, which is probably going to be the 8 supernovas that are on the island already, and Yamato, with carrying out Ace's will as well. That being said, they're all dealing with situations separately now. There's a one-on-one on the roof, we know that, right? There's a whole thing with and Kid chasing Big Mom. That's gonna happen. Sanji has Zoro. They're going to the live floor, so something's gonna happen there. But before that can all transpire, there's a few things that needs to be cleared up before that. So let's kind of look at it from the point of view of what needs clearing up. As the CP0 said, unless the 6 Tobiropo, or now 5 Tobiropo, get dealt with, and the top 3, the All-Stars, nothing's really going to happen, and narratively that's going to be the case. So, how are the matchups at the moment? We know Page 1 is down, so he's kind of out. Page 1 is down, he's out of the equation. Ulti's fighting with Big Mom, which now is Nami, so that's going to be a fight. We know Sasaki is fighting against Frankie, and we know that Black Medea is taking on Robin and Brooke. And the only other person is it's Who's Who, and he's fighting currently Jinbei. So their kind of matchups are nicely organized, right? So they're out the way. Then let's look at everybody else. So we've got Jack, and Jack's taking on Inuarashi. So Jack's taken care of. Who's fighting against the other 2 All-Stars? We've got Marco taking these lot on, and Perospero in the background. This is where Nekomamushi is going to come in, and he's going to take care of Perospero, get him out of the equation. So that ultimately leaves on the live floor the people that are going to go over to Tama's side eventually. We've got Queen, you've got King, and you've got Queen's crew, right? King's crew, sorry. The flying kind of eagles and pterodactyls and anything flying that he's got there. The buzzards. So when you think about it that way, because the rest of the scabbards, Sanji, Luffy are all heading to the live floor where this will ultimately make it an easier fight. It might possibly be a case that some of the scabbards eventually take down Queen, which leaves a fight for King to be dealt with by Sanji and Marco, till Zoro recovers enough to kind of take him down. Ultimately, them being in that scenario does eliminate a lot of things. Now, with them also being there, what this also does as well is potentially give them opportunity to sort out the fights with the other headliners that are significant. So in this case, Hawkins and Apu, as well as see what's going on with Deus Drake or X Drake. Because ultimately, they need to get their situation sorted out for them to come on to the Straw Hats Alliance side, for them to be involved in the rooftop at the top. If this theory is to come true, it doesn't necessarily mean it will, but it is something that needs to transpire. So realistic, what we've got here is dealing with the rest of the supernovas and what's going to happen there, dealing with the Tobiropo, dealing with the All Stars, and then there's going to be this fight at the top. Will Luffy last the whole time? I'd imagine there's going to be ups and downs because of the way the Japanese Kamugi place story works and acts. But what this will do is give him the opportunity to essentially work through and make his techniques more efficient. If he manages to beat him one-on-one, brilliant. but it literally escalates him to a very high level if that is the case, and his bounty is going to be way over 1.5 billion, easily going into the 3 billion range. That being the case, we'll have to worry about bounties later. For now, that is the chapter. Loads of speculation, loads of different threads that we need to go through. The lurking legend, who is the guy in the shadows, who is the person that was helping the 9 scabbards. Are we really going to find out any of these answers? Where is Hiyori? You know, there's so many different things. We'll have to wait and see what happens over the next couple of chapters. But until then, I must bid you adieu. Peace.